everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today I am doing my version, because I believe Marco's already done his, of the top 10 worst older movies than last year that we watched last year.
See, that's why you don't say that. You say the top 10 worst old movies from 2021. You don't say.
Well, I just want to. It's really hard because.
No, it's not.
You think old movies, you think of the 40s or something. These are anything, any age, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, whatever. But they're at least anything below that year. So.
There's nothing else you can call them, though. Like, you can't say top 10 previous movies or like top 10 movies we watched in 2021, because then that would imply that they could be new movies as well. So there had to be some sort of a general term to call
them. Okay, well, I'm looking at it and there's a problem.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Let's see.
Looks like Safi should have consulted her writing more.
Okay, well, all right. I think I have it. Okay. Well, the 10th one, that would be the best of the worst.
So you don't have any dishonorables?
No, I will. I figured out. I have personally. Marco has seen a lot more movies than me. For me, I've seen like 50.
Yeah, that's still quite a bit of movies, Safi.
It is. So I figured out. I have 10 really awful movies that I consider to be awful movies. 10 I consider to be pretty good movies. And then in the middle is 30. So my honorable mention bads and goods will be, the ones that are good will be towards the good the top 10 that are good, and the ones that are right next to the lowest 10 will be my honorable mentions for the worst. Okay, but I have to decide what that's going to be. There's 30 in the middle, and I'll just say it tomorrow as an add-on to the top 10 good.
Safi, you can have as many dishonorable mentions as you want.
Well, I don't think we should. I'm not willing to give away honorable mentions for shitty movies. Sorry for my language.
I had 30 honorable mentions for my top 10 favorite movies.
Really?
Because I just wanted to talk about them and say, oh, I like that about the movie, but I didn't like that. And there were like 30 of those. So.
Okay, well, I don't know if for this year, my top 10 worst is really hard, because between the gratuitous sex, the gratuitous violence, which really there wasn't a lot of that. There was one horribly one, and I'll get with that. I'll tell you what that is later, but and then just the empty, crappy stories that were meaningless, and then there were a couple that I about passed out from falling asleep. I mean, multiple times in one movie, and it was just, it's got to be bad. I fall asleep, true, sometimes, because I get like 2+ hours of sleep a night sometimes, and so yeah, I have a sleeping problem, but still, if it's a good movie, I won't fall asleep. And so, I mean, I might drift off a little bit, but for the most part, if it's really bad, I mean, I just can hardly stay awake. I just keep passing out
Safi,
over and over again.
Do I need to mention the Andy Griffith Show, where we watched an episode of that a night, and you fell asleep every single night?
I wake up at I'll wake up at 3:30. And then I wake up at 4, and then 5, and I cannot get up past 6 because we have a cat. His name is Bernie. I call him Boo. He gets an injection of insulin at 6 a.m., and I'm the one who does it. I'm the only one who's up. I feed him. I give him injection. Marco does it at 6 o'clock at night. We give him a snack at lunch. I mean, he has a very strict schedule. So enough of that. But still, I have sleeping problems.
Go
So
ahead.
anyway,
Go ahead,
my
Safi.
my number 10, and this is really hard because, like I said, is you're going to be really shocked. It's Puppet Master: Axis of Rising. Now the problem
Wait.
with this movie is
Wait.
there's a woman in it with big boobs.
It's just called Axis Rising. It's not called Axis of Rising.
Oh, okay, sorry. That just shows how terrible a movie it was. But anyway, it's not any great movie, but it did have a couple of good characters in it who I thought.
Oh, like the one with the boobs?
The older man. I don't remember what his name was, but there was this woman. She'd had boob job, and I'm sorry if my language is offensive to anybody.
Do you really think that they're fake, Safi? Could you tell?
I just probably believe it.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, I'm not going to argue about the merits of her boob size, but anyway, they just kept. It's like the cameraman just couldn't keep his eyes away from her chest.
Yeah, but the writers couldn't either.
And they just kept focusing in on it almost every scene
That was the whole
that they
movie.
could. So, but I just put that because the things that are below it are, well, okay. Now, my number 9, Marco will be real surprised about this, is Big Daddy. And if the ones below weren't so horrible, that would probably be at number 1, like he thought it was probably going to be. This is the Adam Sandler movie where he pretends like he's a father to get a girlfriend.
I predicted that she would put Big Daddy at number 1 because she was so upset about it and angry.
Well, I watched Saturday Night Live when he was on it, and I thought he was good. I enjoyed it, but it was a cast. That's the thing about Saturday Night Live. It isn't just seeing individual people. It's about how they interact with each other and the skits they come up with. And sometimes the group ones are a lot better than any of the singular ones. But I just find him to be childish and disgusting. And it just seems like it's all about him. And there was a child in it. I mean, this is about him having a child there, and he's pretending like he's a father. And to me, in the movie, in my comprehension of it, it's like, who's the child? The child or the adult who acts like a child? And that's why I really, I got a whole view of Adam Sandler that I just don't, because I watched the one where he's on the Water Boy, I think that's what's called, with Kathy Bates. I kind of like that, and then there was a golf one. But other than that, I mean, this is a horrible movie. And I don't even want to talk, but he's awful. And I watched that last year or year before. We watched that Gems one.
Well, it's now 3 years ago.
Wow, it's unbelievable. But anyway, that was actually, to me, very important because it showed an addiction to gambling without really saying what it was.
Yeah, even though you ragged on it at the time because it wasn't like you wanted it to be.
Well, but I really feel like it was like a public service type movie.
Oh, okay.
To get people to really look at how horrible a gambling addiction can be and the consequences of it. Okay, let's move on. Okay, my number 8 movie is Suicide Squad.
Oh,
that thing is a piece of garbage.
That was my number 2.
And it is stupid, and it wasn't thought out, and it was like an advertisement for future movies, and it just, I don't know what it was supposed to be. It's like, why was this movie even made? And just the whole thing, it's called Suicide Squad. I don't like that. I worked in a mental health clinic. We had at least 5 suicides.
Oh, fuck off.
And
I
think it's a stupid, and it's just, but the story and the characters, some of the characters, I'm not going to say all of them because I won't say which one. They're just stupid. And stupid. I just can't get over it. Anyway, my number 7, and it's funny because this is an older movie, and it didn't have that good a story, but it was better than those other ones, but still it was worse because it was older, and it was one that I fell asleep. It's called Ace of Hearts, and it's really an older movie, but I don't know what else to say about it.
Safi,
What?
we watched that one. Well, let's just say we never reviewed it like we were supposed to, Safi. But we watched that one as a substitute for Destiny because we watched Destiny and it was so bad that I thought we should watch another movie from 1921, and
Well,
that's the one we chose.
yeah, and it was a hell of a lot better than Destiny, that's
Yeah.
for sure. But it just, I can't stand the way, and it was because of the silent movie situation, where people had to exaggerate their uh, movements of their face, any part of their body, because it was silent, and that's what they depended on, their facial expressions, their movements. I can't stand the way women were depicted. They were depicted like
Well,
weak. It
that's
just made me
that's
sick. I
Safi.
couldn't stand
That's
it.
false, Safi. In this movie, the female character is a crazy bitch, and the whole movie is about the fact that these two guys are fighting over this crazy bitch.
Yeah, well,
And
yeah, I
she's
know.
a terrorist. She wants to go around killing people.
I'm probably thinking of Destiny.
Yeah. So that's false.
But that's why it's not number one. It's number 7.
Okay.
Okay. All right. My number 6 movie. We watched a lot of the full moon. How many did we watch, Marco? 5
We watched
or
10.
6? Oh, we
We
watched
watched
10, which is amazing.
Plus the 3 Puppet Masters that we watched in like 2 nights.
Well, I have a few of those in my next
Oh shit!
listings. The next one, it's 6. I'm on 6. It's called Head of the Family.
Oh.
Now, I thought it was an interesting horror story, and I kind of wish they would redo it or make it somebody else make one that's kind of similar, since movies nowadays have this kind of a weird fascination with copying.
Plagiarism.
Yeah, plagiarism. But if not, they could remake this, but make it better. But what it was about, well, the thing is, it was this person who was totally deformed. They were just all head and a tiny, tiny little body. And that was the head of the family. He was, which is really funny. And everything he wanted to be done was his family members would carry out his wants and wishes, and it was all negative and horror and awful. But there was a lot of gratuitous sex, and it was stupid. It was just stupid. They overdid it, and what? Because they thought people wanted that, and it was just dumb. So
Safi,
I put it there.
the movie was extremely entertaining. We had it as our second best full moon movie, so if you don't have those other ones below it, then you're a hypocrite.
Well, I do. Okay, my number 5 and 4 movies are both, I believe, they're both full moon movies. And that is, number 5 is Cannibal Woman or Cannibal Women.
It was called Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death.
This was, the actresses, one of them was the one from Three's Company, the brunette girl. I can't think of her name. Now, she really did not have a good part.
She was awful. Yeah.
The blonde woman who was playing like a cultural anthropologist.
She was the best part of it.
She was, and she did a good job, and that's why this is number 5 and not lower. But it was still the set and the lines and everything. It was very juvenile, and it was very empty, and it was like a high school project. And nothing against people in high school make projects, but if you're an adult, you're beyond high school. You would think that you would make something that would be a little bit more thought out and advanced than a high school project. So anyway, that's why that's there, and it was just about them looking for people who are attacking other people who are cannibals, and really, I think that was not even what was really going on. It was a cover for something else, and whatever. I'm going to get into it. Stupid. Don't even bother.
I'm kind of regretting now that I didn't even put it on my dishonorable mentions, because I just think because it had a few laughs and it did have a couple of funny jokes here and there, and I did think that the main woman was pretty good,
yeah,
actually.
She was. She
but
was pretty good.
The movie was so trashy that I wish I had never watched it. That's how bad it was.
For me, it's personal. I have been on anthropological studies, and just this whole thing. I can't even go into it, but it's stupid. Okay, just take my word for it. You have to get a grant, and you have to get supplies, and it's very professional. If you're not professional, you never get another grant again.
That was our worst full moon movie as well, if you remember.
No, I don't remember. See, Marco has about 1,000 times better. I have so many things going on. I can't. My memory is sometimes not very good. Okay, now my next one, I would have put it at number 1, except for the fact the two before it are so bad that that you just can't even, you wouldn't watch it because you probably throw up. Because they're just so, I mean, you just pass out permanently. You probably wouldn't be able to wake yourself up, especially on number 1. But my number 3 is Terrifier.
Oh.
Now, I thought it was an interesting story, but it was so violent.
And, wait, Safi, you skipped over one. You didn't talk about Dr. Alien.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. That was number 3. Okay, my number 4, this is another full moon movie. And it was called Dr. Alien. And I hate the title, okay? The thing is, you have a high school, and you have a teacher come in, and she's not a doctor, and she's a teacher. And she's really an alien, but she's a really pretty girl who she's wearing a human costume, and you don't know that until the end, but she's really an alien, and the alien costume, actually, she probably had a lot of fun wearing because it was really good, the alien costume. But she has, it's so dumb, I'm not even going to talk about what the story's about. It's another one with gratuitous sex.
Well, no,
in fact, that's a whole big chunk of the movie.
I'd like to bring up a point about it.
Well, go ahead.
This movie, people nowadays, they're just complaining about licorice pizza because of the age thing. Well, the thing is, yeah, I know. Well, the thing is, in this movie, it's literally about a high school student who gets raped by his alien teacher.
And she's probably in her 30s.
Then she basically impregnates him with an alien antenna that is on his head, that when women look at his antenna, they rape him too. And so he actually gets gang raped by an entire team of girls and the coaches too. And so I just wanted to bring that up for all the people who are like, licorice pizza is so problematic. And it's like, there's tons of movies out there, and movies can do whatever the fuck they want. And, when you have a movie like this, it's kind of embarrassing that you single out licorice pizza, but then you don't mention Dr. Alien.
Yeah, and look, I'm an older person, older than Marco by a lot.
Really?
And, the thing is, I'm not bothered by licorice pizza at all. And although you can get in legal trouble if you have sex with a minor, which in the movie, I guess he's supposed to be 15, and of course she's way over 17. Not way, but I mean, any amount is, she would be considered an adult, and he's a minor, and that would get you arrested and put in jail, probably put on a sex offenders list.
But it's a movie.
But it's just a movie, and it's not really, it doesn't seem like they ever do get that involved.
They will after the ending, Safi. It's clearly hinted at.
Okay, well,
clearly.
He's 18 by that time. So anyway.
What?
But this one, these are clearly high school students.
Yeah.
And this is and this is really, she's really an alien.
She rapes him in the classroom too.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just
on screen.
It's really one of the worst, horrible movies, but the thing is, I love the alien costume, and I thought about the actress who probably is a porn star. Or she wishes she could be an actress. And she was in this movie hoping that her career could move forward. And maybe she has played some small roles and something. She's not very good. But the thing is, she has the greatest alien mask. It's so good. And I'm thinking about her. She must have had a lot of fun wearing it. And so that's the only positive thing I can say about it. It was a great alien. I mean, it would be great to wear that on Halloween. It is perfect. I've never seen a good costume an alien like that ever. So anyway, my next one, I don't even know what it's called. It's a Greek vampire movie.
Wait, the next one's number 3, which is Terrifier.
Oh, okay. Okay, I hate doing this. Okay, my number 3, and I already started talking about this because I had skipped Dr. Alien. Dr. Alien was number 4, by the way. My number 3 was Terrifier.
Oh.
And this movie was just way too violent.
What?
I thought that, and I don't know what's going on nowadays. They get to this point where they can't show any violence at all, really, like nothing. And then, but this thing was like, it was like rated in, back a few years ago, it would have been rated X, I believe. And it was because it was just so bad. And,
Well, it wasn't rated at all. It was not rated.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is that we both talked about how bad the effects looked, so it didn't really matter that the violence was over the top.
Well, I just thought that was just awful. And it really, to me, it could be a good story if they would tone it down a little bit and make it a better story. And Marco was talking about the effects, improve the effects.
And
there's a lot of improvements.
The villain didn't even talk, if you remember that.
Right, and the bad guy who's really, and you don't know why. How does somebody get to be like that? They have no value of any kind of life whatsoever. I mean, none. You know, you see Silence of the Lambs. Well, Buffalo Bill has a nice little dog. He loves the doggy. And, but he's killed all these people, but he loves his dog. This guy had nothing. He'd squash everything. Every butterfly, every ant, every frog, every living creature in his way, he would kill. It was just horrible. So that's my number 3. And I would have put it, like I said, at number 1 and 2, except for the fact that these are snooze fests. And how can you couldn't even watch it again because you probably put yourself permanently to sleep.
It was very disappointing because we watched it for a commentary, and it was probably one of the worst commentary experiences ever.
Well,
because
you really want something more entertaining and fun,
we
and
were
where you
so
smile
disappointed.
and maybe laugh.
So disappointed.
You don't want to. This is nothing to laugh about. It's almost like snuff. Have you ever heard the term snuff film? It's almost like a snuff film.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's
anyway, number 2, I don't even know what it's called. It's a Greek vampire movie.
It's called Draculus and Sia, a.k.a. Dracula and Company.
I thought it was stupid and goofy. And it just, I just couldn't stand watching it. It was stupid. I couldn't get through it.
Now you did get through it. You watched it. But
I did?
Yeah, remember?
It's hard. No, I don't. That's what I mean. I kind of like put it out of my misery.
But you can't do that, Safi. You're insulting our Greek viewers.
No, I'm not, because I love, I have no problem with Greek people.
Really?
They eat really good food.
How much do you love the Greek people, Safi?
They're great. They're fun to be with, and they have great food. But they would not like this movie at all. They probably would disown it. That's how bad it was. And it's a shame because it's interesting to see when people talk about something that we talk about a lot, like vampires or Frankenstein or even Michael Myers. When you look at, as a person who's done anthropology, you look at how different cultures interpret these creatures.
That's why I thought it would be fun to watch it.
That's right. It's interesting to see how they view them and how they show it on the screen. But this wasn't anything good. It doesn't show you anything, and you just fall asleep. It's just no good. Okay, my first one is the same as Marco's. I don't know if you've listened to his watch this video, but it's destiny. And we watched this because we got 100 subscribers, and it was a 100-year-old movie, I believe. And it was a silent movie. And I could not stand, it was confusing. The story was terrible. I couldn't follow it, and I sometimes I have to actually have Marco interpret it, where he was like, well, I'm not really sure, but I think it's, and if a movie is that bad, or no, a person who is really watching every detail and looking at sets and motion and screen, what is it called? Where you get this whole vision of an environment, and they have Academy Awards for that, and acting and casting and lighting and sound. Well, and I'm not into all that detail. I just pretty much give my honest opinion of what I think of the movie. But anyway, this movie was just terrible, and it was sad because, you like to find a movie, an older movie like this that's silent, that is really good and fun. And I guess that would be like a Charlie Chaplin, but I would hope he wouldn't be the only one, that you would find others too, because that was a part in our movie making history that has a place in it.
And Safi, this was one of Alfred Hitchcock's favorite movies.
And I don't understand that. I don't understand it at all. I guess in the essence of it, what she goes in, she's with her husband, and then she goes back and he's not there anymore. We've had something like that.
Gets killed off screen. Don't even know what happens.
And so it's kind of like that movie with Kurt Russell and the girl who was in that
Breakdown.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And then there's the other movie that's Dutch, and that the gas station, and there's a serial killer.
The Vanishing.
The Vanishing. So kind of, to me, that story is kind of embedded a whiff of it into those future
but
movies.
those movies are both better.
Of course they are, and they should be, because they're modern, and they should be better because they know more about movie making than they did, that many years ago. So anyway, and it just kept putting me to sleep, and I just couldn't. The lighting was terrible, and I couldn't figure out what was going on.
But you got to admit, the worst part was when
the end.
No, it was when Death rides in on a flying horse and then kills her final chance of winning. That was just like such that was such an insult to the audience. After this whole film, you just have everything like, it didn't matter that she went through all of these struggles, because Death is just going to ride in on a flying horse.
Yeah, and take it all away. So I mean, just don't even bother. But if somebody has the time, I don't have all the time to watch all this stuff. And actually, Marco really doesn't either. He has enough to watch. You should check out more of these silent movies and try to find, if you want to and if you can, and be sure to put in the comments if you do, or if you already know of one, a really good, that's not Charlie Chaplin, because, he is funny, and he was very good at what he did. This took a really big skill to be able to be a silent actor. And they'd probably be surprised at my saying that, because I think they felt terrible when the talking pictures came in, and they didn't have a place in it.
You mean like that guy from Ace of Hearts who killed himself, and you disgraced that movie and said bad things about it?
Well, whatever. But it took a lot of effort and imagination and creativity to be a part of silent movies, because of all the movements, like I said, the facial expressions, the body movements, everything that you could physically do, because you couldn't make a sound. So it was very dependent on what you did with those movements to make further the story. So anyway, those are my top 10 worst old movies that I watched in 2021, And coming up, and probably tomorrow, I guess, will be my top 10 best list of old movies. And remember, of 20 that I watched in 2021. And remember, I personally watched 50. And so
I watched 103.
yeah, so see, Marco has more time to devote to this kind of thing. And so he watched twice as many. So really, for him, it was really probably twice as hard. But then we did not,
No.
as I remember watching these movies, there's just not a lot of good movies. And so it may not have been that hard. It's just when you rank the lower ones,
It does surprise
you can't
me.
get any lower than the low of the low of the low.
It does surprise me, though, how you didn't put Home Alone 4
Well,
on the
I
list.
thought about it, but I thought I'd just put those in the middle. So, anyway,
Okay. Well, okay, what should people do, Safi?
I hope that everybody like this and check the like button, and that they subscribe, because we always enjoy getting a new subscriber to our channel. Okay? Bye.
Bye.